Here are Grandpa's hacks to unlimited heat for your home. No electric needed. Masonry heater. Grandpa knew that a well-built masonry heater could keep a home warm long after the fire burned out. Unlike traditional fireplaces, which let most of their heat escape up the chimney, a masonry heater absorbs and stores warmth within its dense brick or stone structure, radiating heat for hours. To build one, start by choosing a central location in your home, as the heater will warm the surrounding area efficiently. Construct a firebox using fire bricks, ensuring it's well insulated to create an intense, high-temperature burn. Above the firebox, design a series of smoke channels that force the hot air to travel through the brickwork before exiting the chimney. This step maximizes heat retention. Once built, operate it by burning a short, hot fire for 1 to 2 hours. Then let the stored heat gradually release throughout the day. The result? A steady, comfortable warmth without constant refueling. But what if you could harness the sun's power instead, using nothing but smart design? Passive solar heating. Why let the sun's energy go to waste when it can heat your home for free? Passive solar heating is all about capturing and storing warmth using smart home design. To take advantage of this method, position large, south-facing windows where they can absorb the most sunlight throughout the day. Inside, use heat-absorbing materials like stone, brick, or tile floors, which store the sun's warmth and slowly release it as temperatures drop. Keep interior doors open to let heat circulate naturally, and close thick curtains at night to prevent warmth from escaping. Even small adjustments like painting walls a darker color to absorb more heat can make a big difference. This method requires no electricity, no fuel, just smart placement and natural energy. But what if you could go beyond passive heating and actively trap the sun's heat for even better results? Grandpa had a trick for that too: solar heat absorbers. Grandpa always said, if you can trap heat, you can stay warm. A solar heat absorber does just that by capturing and concentrating sunlight to generate warmth. To make one, start with a flat metal sheet, preferably aluminum or steel, and paint it black to maximize heat absorption. Mount the sheet inside a simple wooden frame, then cover the front with clear glass or plastic to create a greenhouse effect. Place the absorber where it gets maximum sunlight, such as against a south-facing wall or window. As the black surface heats up, warm air naturally rises while cooler air from below gets pulled in, creating a steady airflow. For even more efficiency, install a small vent at the top to direct the heated air inside. It's an old-school method that turns the coldest days into free heating opportunities. But not every heating trick needs high-tech materials. Sometimes even simple clay pots can do the job. Clay pot heater. What if you could turn a few candles and a couple of clay pots into a surprisingly effective heat source? That's exactly how a clay pot heater works. To make one, start by placing a few tea-light candles on a fireproof dish or metal tray. Next, take a small, unglazed clay pot and turn it upside down over the candles, resting it on a few bricks or an elevated surface to allow airflow. Then, place a slightly larger clay pot over the first one, leaving a small gap at the top to let heat escape. As the candles burn, the clay absorbs and radiates warmth, providing steady, localized heat. Because clay holds onto warmth longer than metal or glass, this setup makes a big difference in small spaces. While it won't replace a full heating system, it's perfect for chilly nights when you need just a little extra warmth. And if you're looking to keep that heat from escaping, the right kind of window covering can make all the difference. Thermal curtains. Windows are one of the biggest sources of heat loss in a home, but the right curtains can turn them into an extra layer of insulation. To get the most out of thermal curtains, start by choosing thick, multi-layered fabric, preferably with a thermal backing. Hang them as close to the window as possible to minimize drafts, making sure they extend past the sides and touch the floor for maximum coverage. During the day, open the curtains on sun-facing windows to let natural warmth in, then close them at sunset to trap the heat inside. Some curtains even have reflective linings that bounce heat back into the room instead of letting it escape through the glass. This simple adjustment can make a huge difference in reducing heating costs and keeping a home warm without extra energy use. Sometimes the smartest solutions are the simplest ones, like this next one. Bubble wrap window insulation. Keeping heat from escaping through windows doesn't have to be expensive. Bubble wrap works surprisingly well as insulation. To apply it, start by cutting a piece of bubble wrap to fit your window. Spray a fine mist of water onto the glass, then press the bubble side of the wrap against it. The water helps it stick without adhesives. Once in place, the air pockets in the wrap create an insulating barrier, reducing heat loss while still letting in light. This method works because the trapped air slows heat transfer, keeping warm air inside and cold air out. For best results, use bubble wrap with larger bubbles, as they provide better insulation. It's an easy, low-cost solution that can last all winter with minimal upkeep. When spring arrives, simply peel it off and store it for next year. Cold air sneaking through windows is bad enough, but what about that constant draft under doors? There's a simple fix for that, too. Door draft stoppers. A drafty door can make an entire room feel colder, but a simple draft stopper can block that chilly air. To make one, measure the width of your door and cut a piece of fabric slightly longer. Sew it into a tube, leaving one end open, and fill it with dry rice, sand, or even rolled up towels. Once filled, sew the open end shut and place it snugly against the bottom of your door. The weighted fabric forms a tight seal, preventing cold air from creeping in and warm air from escaping. If sewing isn't your thing, a rolled up towel placed along the bottom of the door works just as well. This method is effective because it physically blocks drafts, reducing heat loss and making rooms feel warmer without cranking up the thermostat. It's a small change with big impact, but doors aren't the only places where heat escapes. Your floors play a role too, and there's an easy way to insulate them: rug and carpet insulation. Hardwood and tile floors may look beautiful, but they can make a home feel colder in the winter. The solution? Use rugs and carpets to trap heat and prevent warmth from escaping through the floor. Thick area rugs, especially those made of wool or high-pile materials, create a thermal barrier that keeps rooms cozy. For extra insulation, add a rug pad underneath. Felt or rubberized pads work best for retaining warmth. If you have wall-to-wall carpeting, ensure it's installed with a thick underlay to prevent cold air from seeping up. This method works because rugs and carpets slow down heat conduction, keeping warmth where you want it. Plus, they add comfort underfoot, making your home feel warmer even without raising the temperature. Insulating the floor is one trick, but what about maximizing heat from radiators and space heaters? A simple reflective barrier can work wonders. Reflective foil behind radiators and heaters. Radiators and space heaters generate warmth, but a lot of it gets lost when heat is absorbed into the walls instead of circulating in the room. A simple fix? Install reflective foil behind your radiators or heaters to direct heat back into the living space. To do this, cut a sheet of reflective insulation or aluminum foil slightly larger than the heater, then secure it to the wall using adhesive strips or double-sided tape. The shiny surface reflects radiant heat, preventing it from being absorbed into the wall and instead pushing it outward into the room. This works because reflective surfaces minimize heat loss by bouncing infrared radiation back where it's needed most. The result? Rooms heat up faster and stay warmer longer, all without using additional energy. Maximizing efficiency is key, but for those who want to take heating to the next level, there's one old-fashioned method that has stood the test of time: Soapstone heater. Grandpa always swore by Soapstone heaters for their incredible ability to retain and radiate heat long after the fire died down. Soapstone, a dense natural material, absorbs heat when exposed to fire and then slowly releases it over time, providing consistent warmth for hours. To use one effectively, place a soapstone slab near a wood stove, fireplace, or even in the oven for about an hour to let it soak up heat. Once warm, carefully remove it with thick gloves and place it in a safe area, like near a seating area or under a blanket at your feet. The stone will continue to radiate heat long after the initial source is gone. This works because soapstone has a high heat retention capacity, meaning it doesn't just get hot quickly, it stays warm for an extended period. It's a method that has been used for centuries and still proves effective today. Sometimes the best heating tricks aren't modern at all, like this next one. Candle and brick heater. When the power goes out or you need a little extra warmth in a small space, a candle and brick heater can work surprisingly well. To make one, start by placing 4 bricks in a square formation with a tea-light candle in the center. Then set a metal or ceramic baking tray on top to create a platform. Stack additional bricks in a pyramid-like structure around the candle, leaving some gaps for airflow. As the candle burns, the bricks absorb heat and slowly radiate it outward, creating a gentle, steady warmth. This works because bricks have a high thermal mass, meaning they retain and release heat gradually, making even a small flame more effective. While this won't heat an entire house, it's a simple way to take the chill out of a room without electricity. But what about maximizing the heat from an existing fireplace? There's an easy way to do that too. Fireplace reflector. Fireplaces provide warmth, but much of that heat gets absorbed into the back wall rather than radiating into the room. A fireplace reflector fixes this by directing more heat outward. To make one, cut a piece of sheet metal, preferably stainless steel or aluminum, to fit the back of the fireplace. Curve it slightly to create a concave shape, then place it against the rear wall of the firebox. As the fire burns, the reflective surface bounces radiant heat back into the room instead of letting it escape through the chimney. This simple adjustment can improve heat output by up to 40%, making the fire more efficient without using additional fuel. The best part? It requires no electricity, just a bit of clever positioning. Keeping a fire burning efficiently is important, but what about stopping unnecessary heat loss when the fireplace isn't in use? There's an easy way to block drafts that often go unnoticed: chimney balloon or damper. An open chimney is like a giant hole sucking warm air out of your home, even when there's no fire burning. To prevent heat loss, a chimney balloon or damper is a simple yet effective solution. To install, partially inflate the balloon, position it inside the chimney just above the firebox, then fully inflate it until snug. For a more permanent solution, a damper, a metal plate that can be opened or closed, works similarly. Closing the damper when the fireplace isn't in use keeps warm air from escaping and blocks cold drafts from entering. This method prevents up to 80% of heat loss, reducing heating costs without any extra effort. A sealed chimney makes a huge difference, but what if you could trap and retain heat in a way that doesn't require a fireplace at all? There's an old-fashioned trick for that: haybox insulation. Before slow cookers existed, people back in Grandpa's day used haybox insulation to keep food hot for hours without additional fuel. The same principle can be applied to heat retention in the home. To make a simple haybox heater, line a wooden box or insulated container with thick layers of hay, wool, or even blankets. Heat a pot of water or food to a rolling boil, then immediately transfer it into the insulated box, covering it with more insulation before sealing the lid. The trapped heat continues to cook or keep food warm for hours without additional energy. This method works because hay and other natural fibers trap heat exceptionally well, preventing it from dissipating quickly. The concept can also be applied to keeping warm objects insulated, like using thick blankets to hold in warmth from a heat source. Passive insulation is an ancient trick, but what if your home itself could act as a heat battery, storing and releasing warmth throughout the day? There's a clever way to make that happen. Trombe wall. A Trombe wall is a simple yet powerful way to heat a home using nothing but the sun. It works by building a thick masonry wall made of concrete, brick, or stone on the south side of a house. A sheet of glass or polycarbonate is mounted a few inches in front of the wall, creating an enclosed airspace that traps solar heat. As the sun shines, the wall absorbs and stores warmth, slowly radiating it into the house throughout the evening. To build one, start with a dark-colored, high-density wall facing the sun. Mount the glass barrier in front, sealing the edges to prevent heat loss. During the day, vents at the bottom and top allow warm air to circulate inside. At night, the stored heat is gradually released, maintaining a comfortable indoor temperature without electricity or fuel. Radiant barrel heater. A radiant barrel heater is a powerful and efficient way to turn a simple wood stove into a long-lasting heat source. To build one, start with a standard metal barrel and cut an opening to fit over an existing wood stove. Secure the barrel horizontally above the stove using a heat-resistant bracket or stand. As the stove burns, hot air rises into the barrel, where the metal absorbs and radiates heat outward, warming the room more effectively than a standalone stove. The large surface area of the barrel increases heat distribution, ensuring warmth lingers even after the fire dies down. For even better efficiency, adding a heat exchanger or thermal mass, such as bricks inside the barrel, helps store and slowly release warmth. This DIY system maximizes heat output while reducing wood consumption. With the right setup, a simple fire can provide long-lasting, radiant warmth. But staying warm isn't just about heating the room. It's also about keeping your body insulated correctly. Layered clothing and wool blankets. The key to staying warm without cranking up the heat: layering clothes and using wool blankets. Layering works by trapping warm air between thin fabrics, creating insulation that holds body heat. Start with a moisture-wicking base layer like thermal or wool fabric to keep sweat from cooling your skin. Add a middle layer, such as fleece or a sweater, to retain warmth. Finally, wear an outer layer, like a thick jacket or robe, to block cold air. Wool blankets in particular are excellent insulators because wool fibers trap heat while allowing moisture to escape, keeping you warm without overheating. For maximum warmth at night, layer a lightweight blanket under a heavy wool one. This creates a heat-trapping barrier without feeling suffocating. But when extra warmth is needed, an age-old trick involving hot water can make all the difference. Hot water bottles. A hot water bottle is a simple yet effective way to stay warm for hours, even in freezing temperatures. To use one, fill a rubber or silicone hot water bottle with boiling water, leaving a small air gap before sealing the cap tightly. Wrap it in a towel or soft cover, To prevent direct contact with the skin, then place it under your blankets, at your feet, or on your lap. The heat radiates gradually, keeping you cozy without electricity. According to Grandpa, this works because water retains heat exceptionally well, slowly releasing warmth over time. For an extra heat boost, tuck the bottle into your bed 30 minutes before sleeping. It will warm up the sheets and create a snug sleeping environment. Some people even place them under jackets during the day for portable warmth. A simple, reusable method that has stood the test of time. But what if you don't have a hot water bottle? You can achieve the same effect with something even more old-fashioned: heated bricks. Before modern heating, people warmed themselves with heated bricks, a simple yet effective trick that still works today. To try this method, place a few clay or fire bricks in an oven or on top of a wood stove, heating them to around 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Once heated, carefully remove them with thick gloves and wrap them in a towel or blanket to prevent burns. Place them at the foot of your bed, under your seat, or near your feet while you sit. The dense material holds heat for hours, gradually releasing warmth. This works because bricks have high thermal mass, meaning they absorb and slowly distribute heat over time. They can be reheated as needed, making them a reliable, electricity-free heating source. Heated bricks were once a winter staple, keeping families warm through long, cold nights. And if you want to create a microclimate of warmth within your home, there's a childhood trick that still works wonders: indoor tent or blanket fort. A cozy tent or blanket fort isn't just for kids. It's a brilliant way to trap warmth and stay toasty indoors. To create one, drape blankets over a table, chairs, or a simple frame, ensuring the space is enclosed but breathable. Inside, add thick rugs, pillows, or extra blankets to insulate from the cold floor. If possible, place a small heat source like a hot water bottle or a candle-powered clay pot heater inside safely to raise the temperature. This setup works because a smaller enclosed space retains body heat much better than a large room, reducing heat loss and making the air inside significantly warmer. It's a trick used for centuries in colder climates, keeping people warm with minimal energy. Plus, there's something undeniably comforting about curling up in a soft, enclosed space on a chilly night. Sometimes, the best ways to stay warm are the simplest, proving that with a little creativity, you can beat the cold without breaking the bank, like using this next item: straw bale house insulation. Straw bales are one of the most effective and affordable natural insulators, keeping homes warm in winter and cool in summer. To insulate a home with straw bales, stack them tightly against the interior or exterior walls, ensuring they fit snugly without gaps. Secure them with a wooden or wire mesh framework for stability. Once in place, apply a thick layer of plaster or clay to seal the bales, preventing moisture and pests from getting in. The densely packed straw traps heat by creating air pockets that reduce heat transfer, making it an excellent insulator. This method works because straw has high thermal resistance, keeping warmth from escaping while blocking cold air from seeping in. It's a sustainable, long-lasting solution that has been used for centuries in colder climates. Straw doesn't just belong in barns. It can turn any home into a naturally insulated haven. But insulation isn't the only way to generate heat. Nature itself provides another surprising source of warmth: compost pile heating. A compost pile isn't just for gardening. It can also generate significant heat, enough to warm greenhouses or even small structures. To create a heat-producing compost pile, layer organic materials like leaves, straw, food scraps, and manure in a well-aerated bin or enclosed space. Keep the pile at least 3 feet high and wide to maintain a high internal temperature. As the organic matter decomposes, microbial activity produces heat, which can reach up to 140 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. This heat can be harnessed by running water pipes through the pile to provide warm water, or by positioning the pile near living areas to radiate warmth. Turning the pile occasionally keeps the decomposition process active and prevents overheating. This method works because decomposition releases thermal energy naturally, making it an eco-friendly heat source. Who knew rotting vegetables could help fight the cold? And if compost can generate heat, another natural byproduct might be even more powerful. Manure-powered heating. Manure isn't just a farm waste product. It's an ancient and powerful heat source that can provide warmth for months. To build a manure-powered heating system, start by layering fresh manure with straw or sawdust in a compost-style pile. Keep it moist, but not soggy, and turn it occasionally to maintain aerobic decomposition. The breakdown of organic material generates consistent heat, often reaching temperatures of 140 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. This heat can be captured by burying pipes within the pile to warm water or placing the pile near animal shelters, greenhouses, or even homes to radiate warmth. The nitrogen-rich content in manure accelerates decomposition, producing sustained thermal energy. Farmers have used this method for centuries to keep barns and livestock areas warm in freezing conditions. It may not smell pleasant, but it's an efficient, renewable heat source, straight from nature. But what if you need instant, on-demand heat inside your home? A simple homemade lamp can do just that. Vegetable oil, lamp heater. A vegetable oil lamp heater is an easy, off-grid way to generate light and warmth at the same time. To make one, fill a heat-resistant glass jar with vegetable oil, leaving about an inch of space at the top. Insert a cotton wick, allowing it to soak in the oil before lighting it. For added efficiency, place a small metal or ceramic plate above the flame to absorb and radiate heat. The oil burns slowly, providing steady warmth while using minimal fuel. Vegetable oil works well because it has a high energy content, producing a clean, long-lasting flame. A properly set up lamp can burn for hours, generating both light and gentle heat in small spaces. But even with heat sources available, keeping warmth inside is just as important, especially when dealing with the coldest parts of a home. Cold room isolation. Not all rooms in a house need to be heated, and isolating cold rooms can significantly improve overall warmth and energy efficiency. To do this, first identify rooms that aren't frequently used, such as spare bedrooms, storage areas, or unused hallways. Close off vents, doors, and windows in these spaces to prevent warm air from being wasted. Hang thick blankets or thermal curtains over doorways to block cold drafts from spreading to heated areas. Placing a draft stopper at the base of doors further seals off chilly air. For maximum efficiency, move daily activities into the warmest rooms, concentrating heat where it's needed most. This method works because it reduces the overall space that needs heating, making any existing heat source more effective. Instead of struggling to warm the entire house, focus on creating a smaller, well-insulated living area. Sometimes the simplest way to stay warm isn't about generating more heat, it's about keeping what you already have. For more contents like this, click here to subscribe.